My headlights washed over the porch, and that was when I saw the boxes stacked like a claim. A minivan sat in my driveway, engine ticking, and my stomach dropped. Who told them my house was available? My mom hurried down the steps. Where do we sleep? I kept my keys tight and stared at the kids' backpacks on top. Name tags, my address. Behind her, my brother Evan pushed past, aiming for my front door. So that was the answer. Evan had decided. I didn't raise my voice. No, my mom's eyes went hard. Then you're choosing this. I didn't know what this was yet. I was about to find out. I didn't know what this was yet. I was about to find out. The air outside smelled like warm asphalt and cut grass, and my porch light made the boxes look even more intentional. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me where you're watching from and what you would do if family showed up with boxes like it was a move-in day. My name is Maya. I was 32 then, a project manager, and that little 3-bedroom in Raleigh was the first thing I ever owned that no one could take credit for. I bought it with spreadsheets and skipped vacations, quiet weekends, a mortgage I could actually handle. So when my mom, my brother Evan, his wife, and their 2 kids stood at my door like my living room was a shelter bed, I already knew what they were trying. They were not asking. And the worst part was, my mom looked at me like I was the problem for hesitating. I turned my head and finally asked, "Who told you yes?" My mom did not blink. Porch light caught the shine on her lipstick and she said, "I did." "He is your brother." That answered one question. It opened 2 more. Evan stood behind her with a half smile, like we were negotiating a cable bill. His wife kept the kids' clothes, eyes on my front door. The boxes smelled like taped cardboard and laundry soap. They had packed fast, or they had packed earlier. This was not new, it was just new at my address. In my family, Evan was the golden child. He could crash a car and it was stress. He could quit a job and it was burnout. He could miss rent and it was bad luck. I was the capable one, the one who didn't mind, the one who handled things better. That was how my mom said scapegoat without using the word. I remembered college nights in a dim campus library, fluorescent lights buzzing, my stomach hollow. I worked shifts at a coffee shop, then wrote papers until my eyes burned. Evan called me from my mom's couch, laughing, saying he was figuring it out. When my tuition bill came, my mom told me to apply for another loan. When Evan's car payment came, she helped him through a rough month. Rough months lasted years. I learned then that my success was treated like surplus. Their emergencies were treated like law. I looked at my porch again and wondered what else they had already decided without me. I slid my phone into my pocket because I knew the minutes would rewrite our family's script. The night air cooled my cheeks, and Evan's smile told me he thought he was already inside. I had seen this before, just in smaller doses. A few years earlier, I was sitting in my car outside my mom's house, the dashboard still warm from the sun. She had asked me to come talk. That was always code for pay. She slid a paper across the kitchen table. Co-signer forms. Evan needed a newer car, she said, because he could not keep losing opportunities. I read it twice. My coffee smelled burnt. My stomach tightened. "I'm not doing that," I said. My mom's face shut like a door. "You can, you just don't want to." Evan did not even show up for the conversation. He texted later. One line, "Come on, it's family." I said no again. A month after that, he borrowed my car for an interview. He returned it at dusk with a dent on the rear panel and a fresh scratch that caught the streetlight. "It's not that bad," he said, like he was grading my reaction. I didn't argue. I took photos. I saved the texts. I wrote down the date. Because I learned something early. Feelings disappear, receipts stay. Now I was looking at boxes on my porch and I could already picture the next stage. Extra keys, extra mail, extra opinions, and the line they always used. "You have extra rooms." Evan said it like he was reading a listing. My mom nodded like the math was finished. A week earlier, my house had smelled like rosemary and warm bread. I had just gotten my promotion, and I hosted a small housewarming so the place could feel real. Soft music. Candlelight. A cutting board crowded with fruit and cheese. My coworkers laughed in the living room, and for a few hours my life felt steady. My mom arrived late, wearing perfume that always meant she was performing. She walked through my entryway slowly, fingertips grazing the doorframe. "This will work," she murmured. "Work for what?" That was my first open loop, and I stayed silent. Evan came in behind her, grinning. "So which room is ours if we ever need it?" People laughed because they thought it was a joke. I smiled once, tight and polite, and kept refilling cups. Then my mom clinked her glass like she had an announcement. "Their lease won't be renewed. The kids need stability." Evan shrugged, practicing helpless. His wife stared at the floor like she had rehearsed the same shame. My coworker Jenna asked, "Oh wow, so what's the plan?" My mom looked straight at me. "Maya doesn't have kids, she doesn't need all this space." The room went quiet in that thin, painful way. Heat rose in my neck, then I cooled it down with one breath. I carried plates to the sink. Water ran. I closed one loop in my head. This was not news. This was pressure, served in public. After everyone left, my kitchen smelled like vinegar and dead candles. My mom cornered me by the fridge. "Family doesn't let family struggle," she said. "I'll pay for a hotel for the weekend," I replied. "But nobody moves in." Her mouth tightened. Evan watched from the hallway, eyes on my spare room door. I thought refusing would end it. Then my phone buzzed again, and my full legal name lit up the screen. I had not seen my name written like that unless something official was happening. The porch was still warm from the day, but the air felt sharper, like the temperature dropped with the notification. Subject line: "Action required." It looked like one of those automated emails that never comes alone. Clean font, a link, a deadline. I opened it with my thumb. Occupancy affidavit and address verification sat there in black letters tied to my property address. That was open loop 1. Why would anyone be verifying who lived in my house? Before I could think, a second alert slid down from my bank app. A credit monitoring ping, new inquiry, my address. My chest stayed calm, but my fingers went cold. I tapped the document preview again. Names filled the boxes like they belonged there. Evan was listed as an adult occupant. My mom was listed as an authorized contact, and my signature line was marked completed. Completed. I stared at the signature. The slant was wrong. The loops were wrong. It looked like someone had tried to imitate me from memory, the way people fake a note in high school. The timestamp hit next. It had been signed during my housewarming while I was in my kitchen washing plates. I answered one question: who told them yes? They had not asked for my permission. They had tried to manufacture it. I pulled up my doorbell camera history and scrolled back. There was my mom at my mailbox, lifting an envelope like she owned it. I did not cry. I went quiet. And I knew my next call was not to family. I locked my phone screen and looked back at my porch. The boxes were still there, but now they looked like evidence. The porch light hummed. A moth hit the glass once, then again. Evan shifted his weight like he was getting impatient. My mom stepped closer. "Maya, open the door." I kept my voice level. I saw the document. She blinked fast. "What document?" "The occupancy affidavit and the credit inquiry." Evan's smile twitched. "It's just paperwork." "To help the kids," my mom tried softer. "We were just trying to make it easier." That closed one loop for me. They knew exactly what they were doing. I took one slow breath. My home is not your safety net. Silence. I let it sit there like a locked gate. "I'm not letting anyone move in," I continued, "and I'm handling the forgery the official way." My mom's face tightened and the old performance returned. "So you want us on the street?" I didn't answer that. I slid the door chain into place and reached for my keys. My hands were steady. If they wanted official, I could do official faster than they could do guilt. Inside, the house smelled like lemon cleaner and the candle I had forgotten to blow out. Warm light in the hallway, quiet walls. I shut the door like I was sealing a file. First, I opened my banking app. Then I called the number on the back of my card. "Fraud department," the woman answered. I kept my voice flat. "I have a credit inquiry tied to my address and a document showing a forged signature connected to my property. I need an alert placed and extra verification on my account." She asked questions. I answered with dates, not feelings. She put notes on my file, added a verbal password, and froze any new credit actions linked through their system. Open loop 1 tightened. Was Evan trying for a loan, a line of credit, something against my house? I did not know yet, but the path was blocked for now. Next, I pulled up my email and took screenshots. Subject line, sender, time, document title. The page that showed my signature marked completed. I saved everything twice. I made a folder on my laptop. One word, receipts. Then I opened my doorbell camera app, my mom at the mailbox. The exact minute, the way she looked over her shoulder. I clipped the video and exported it. After that, I called my title insurance company. The hold music was thin and tinny, like it was coming from inside a metal box. I want to confirm no changes have been filed, I said. No deed transfers, no liens, nothing. They checked, nothing had posted. That closed one loop. My house was still mine on paper, but I did not relax. I went to the hardware store before they could circle back. Bright fluorescent lights, cold air from the aisles. I bought a new deadbolt and longer screws. Within 2 hours, the lock was changed. The door felt heavier when it closed. I upgraded my camera settings, cloud storage, motion alerts, no gaps. Then I emailed a local attorney. Short subject line. Possible identity fraud, forged signature, trespass concern. I attached the screenshots and asked for a cease and desist template and advice on a report. Finally, I sent Evan one text. 1. I have proof my signature was forged on an occupancy document tied to my property, and a credit inquiry hit my address. Do not return. Communicate by email only. He read it. No reply. That silence told me everything. He was not surprised. He was calculating. I looked out through the blinds at the minivan, still there, and I knew the next step would not be private. It would be witnessed. The next morning, I walked into a building that smelled like copier toner and stale coffee. Fluorescent lights made everything look honest and tired. I met the attorney in a small office with a ticking wall clock. I slid my folder across the desk like it weighed something. Receipts, screenshots. The forged signature marked completed. The credit inquiry alert. The mailbox clip. He did not react with shock. He reacted with language. This is unauthorized signature, he said, and this looks like an attempt to establish occupancy. That can be tied to financial access or leverage. Open Loop 1 finally had a shape. They were not just trying to sleep in my house, they were trying to plant a flag. He drafted a cease and desist on letterhead. My name, my address, my boundary in formal words. He also told me calmly to file a report. Not because you want drama, he said, because you want a paper trail before they create one. So I did. The police station lobby was cold. The chairs were plastic. A small television played the news with no sound. When the officer asked what happened, I told him the truth in order. I did not add emotion. I added timestamps. He took the report. He looked at the video. He nodded once. That's your mailbox, he said. Yes, and that's your signature, he said, pointing at the document. No, I replied. That's someone pretending. He wrote for a long time. The scratch of his pen felt louder than it should have. By afternoon, my phone lit up with a notification from my doorbell camera. Motion at the porch. I watched from my kitchen as Evan and my mom walked up again. My blinds were half closed, the sunlight striped across the floor. Evan knocked like he owned the rhythm. My mom's voice went high. Maya, open this door, we need to talk. I did not open it, I tapped the microphone. You were told not to return, I said. Evan leaned toward the camera. You really called the police on your own brother. I filed a report on forged documents, I said. You can email. My mom stepped into frame, eyes wet on command. This is your brother. I answered with a fact, not a fight. Being my brother does not give him my signature. They stayed on my porch long enough for a neighbor across the street to pull into their driveway and pause, long enough for the moment to become public. When the officer arrived, it was quiet. No sirens. Just a uniform and a calm voice at the edge of my lawn. He spoke to them first. I watched through the peephole. I could not hear every word, but I heard the important ones. Trespass. Do not return. Next time, consequences. Evan's shoulders dropped. My mom's face froze, like her script had ended early. The officer knocked once and asked if I wanted the warning documented. I said yes. That was my walk-away line, delivered into the quiet. You can't guilt your way past a locked door. After the officer left, my house felt different. Not colder, just clearer, like the air after a storm finally moves on. The porch was empty by sunset. The minivan was gone. The boxes were gone. The only sound was my fridge humming and the soft click of my new lock. For the next few days, Evan did not text me again. He did not call. My mom tried. She sent messages that sounded careful, like someone walking on glass. "We just need to talk." "You embarrassed us. You scared the kids." She never wrote the words forged signature, so I kept my response in writing, one sentence at a time, no phone calls, no surprise visits. Email only. A week later, I heard through a cousin that Evan found a short-term rental. Some program through his job, some temporary help that did not involve my front door. Funny how options appear when the easiest one is removed. My mom showed up once at the end of my driveway, standing by her car like a paused scene. She didn't scream this time, she just looked small. "I didn't raise you to be like this," she said. I kept my voice calm. "You raised me to be responsible." "I'm doing that?" She left without an apology. I let that be the answer. I bought curtains I actually liked. I built a reading corner. I drank tea in the quiet. The moral was simple. Boundaries don't destroy families. Entitlement does. If you're watching this, tell me where you're watching from and what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. Quiet freedom is worth learning.